Hi, my name is Sally Hillis, and I'm a registered dietitian, chef owner of Hillis & Company in Lincoln, Nebraska. Today we're going to make some amazing pizzas on our grill, and we're going to be using smart chicken as our main ingredient. Across America, wood-burning oven pizzas has become kind of a trend, and since many of us don't have wood-burning ovens in our backyard, we resort to the grill to make these wonderful pizzas with wonderful aroma and fabulous crusts. So the first step we're going to do today is to show you how to make the crust. Okay, to make the pizza dough, we're going to start with the yeast, and it's about a tablespoon of yeast if you're using bulk yeast. We're going to add our sugar, and then we're going to add our warm water to the yeast mixture. The warm water helps dissolve the yeast and the sugar and activates the yeast so it'll start to grow. And you want to make sure to use water that's not over 110 degrees Fahrenheit, otherwise that'll kill the yeast. Okay, so it's dissolved and we're going to let it rest for a few minutes, and then we're going to come back and add the rest of the ingredients. So we've let the yeast mixture sit for about 5 minutes, and we can tell it's been activated because you see a little bit of foam on the surface, as well as you can smell the aroma of the yeast fermenting. After this has happened, we're going to go ahead and add about half a cup of flour to the mixture, and we're going to go ahead and stir that in. Go ahead and use our whisk. And then we're going to go ahead and add our salt. I use kosher salt, olive oil, and we're going to add fresh rosemary to the crust today. And this is where I'd add the fresh herbs. If you're going to add fresh herbs, it helps disperse it a little bit better when it's a little more liquidy. So we'll go ahead and add some fresh rosemary, and we're going to whisk again. You can see everything is nicely distributed, the oil, the salt, and the rosemary into our liquid here. And then we're going to add the rest of the flour. And I'm using an all-purpose unbleached flour today for our crust. And if you like different types of flours, you can experiment with those. But you will always need to put in a little bit of all-purpose flour to help hold the dough together. As the dough begins to form here, we're going to go ahead and tip it out onto our board, and we're going to knead it a little bit today. And this helps the gluten formation in the dough and gives the dough some structure. Okay, so I'm going to put a little more flour down, probably about 1 to 2 more tablespoons. We'll tip our dough out onto there. And then we're going to go ahead and knead it, which is just a pushing and a pulling on the dough. So you push with your heel of your hand and pull back with your fingers. The ideal dough has just a little bit of moisture in it, and it's really soft, and that makes a really great pizza crust. So we're not going to add too much flour here. We're going to keep it a little bit sticky. And we're going to knead for about 5 minutes. The dough feels just perfect now. It's nice and soft and elastic. So we're going to go ahead and put it back into our mixing bowl to rise. So I'm just going to get a little bit of the flour that was left in here out of the bowl. I'm going to go ahead and oil my bowl with a little bit more olive oil, probably about another teaspoon or so. And we're going to lightly coat the dough with the olive oil to keep it from drying out. And then we're going to let this dough rest for about 30 to 45 minutes until it's double in size. Our dough has had a chance to rest, and now we're going to go ahead and shape it into some smaller balls. So we'll take it out of our bowl, and without punching it down, we're going to go ahead and just with your hands cut it into 4 pieces. You can just smell the aroma of the rosemary in there and the yeast, and the dough is just beautiful. It's nice and soft, a little bit sticky yet, but that makes a beautiful crust. So our dough balls have sat for about 5 to 10 minutes, and now we're going to shape them into our crusts. And it's really important to let it rest before you start shaping it, because now the gluten is nice and relaxed and it just stretches into the pizza crust. You just kind of shake them, or you use your fist to kind of push them out. And just work with it really gently. That's about the size we're looking for. And we're going to go ahead and put a little flour onto a baking sheet, because the crust needs to rest one more time before it goes on the grill. Okay, we've let the crust sit about 5 minutes, and now they're ready to go on the grill. Our grill has hit 400 degrees, so now we're going to go ahead and open the grill, put a little bit of spray oil on the grill, and I like to use either a grapeseed oil or canola oil because the smoking point is a lot higher. And then we're just going to go ahead and lay the crusts on the grill. We're going to close the grill and they'll cook for about 5 minutes. Okay, so we've had about 5 minutes on the grill, and you can see that the crusts on the top are starting to get bubbly, and we're only going to cook one side. So when they start to do this, and we can peek underneath and see what they look like, they're starting to brown, the crusts are going to be done. So we're going to go ahead and pull them off and put them on a platter. And now we're ready for toppings.